Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pressing Matters. I'm Scott. Thank you for tuning in today, and thank you for your support. This is the 101st video of our series. We've been doing it for a year. Decided to mark the occasion with a little bit of a new intro. I hope you enjoyed that. And I wanted to do something special for this video. If you watched my last video talking about a couple of accessories, you know that I recently was on a hunt for a new cartridge, and I decided on the Hana after some evaluations, and this is the Hana SL moving coil cartridge. So I did some filming. Actually, my associate did some filming while I was at Soundluxaudio picking out the cartridge. And it was a fun time. We had a good time listening. I went back for 2 sessions to listen to cartridges in different systems and setups, and ended up bringing most of my equipment there to make sure that if I was going to spend this kind of money, that I knew what I was getting and how it would sound basically in my system. So, I noticed a few weeks ago that I wasn't getting as involved with records, listening to records. I didn't know if it was kind of a burnout or what, but I have tons of great records coming in, and I wasn't really excited to listen to them. And I knew the cartridge was getting on in life. I didn't know how far because I didn't have the handy stylus timer that I reviewed in the last video. An amazing device that lets you keep track of how many hours you have on your stylus. And with the Denon, I couldn't even calculate. I could say, okay, 1 record a day. I've had it since, I don't even remember when I got it. So there was absolutely no way to tell except for listening. And the more I listened over the last couple of weeks, I said, no, something is deteriorating. The sound is going down ever so slightly, but enough to make me say, something has to be done now. You don't want to ruin your records, obviously, with a worn stylus. So I wanted to get something on there immediately. And I decided to do some research. And the Hana was in the top consideration for my replacement. I considered both the SL, the ML, the entry-level one, and decided, I really wanted to step it up and go with an advanced stylus shape. So I chose the SL, not so much for budgetary concerns. It was $750. I had a friend that was really pushing me for the ML. Maybe down the road when I have a more advanced phono stage and system to complement it with that level, I think I would go up to that. But I decided on the SL. So I went to Soundlux a couple of times. The first time, as you'll see in the video, well, actually, you won't see in the video. I didn't film the first time. I took some pictures, and I think the editor has kind of put some of those in. But I heard the ML, the SL, and an audio note moving magnet. I brought my preamp the first time, and we inserted the preamp into a couple of systems that had the SL mounted on a Rega, and heard it through that. I felt like the gain was not enough. And the way we had it wired up, we were going through my phono stage only and through their equipment as far as the rest of the system is concerned. And maybe that wasn't the best way, but I wanted to kind of just zero in on the phono stage and hear that. So it was a little bit of a low level. My preamp has oodles of gain. It's the SP9 Mark III audio research, and it has a lot of gain, like 68, I think. And so I thought that was a little odd, but we tried it in also a very expensive, top of the line, ultra exclusive Yamaha system there's only probably 10 made in the world. Very, very nice. And again, something wasn't right. And I was like, okay. So we decided to listen to a couple of things that I really wanted to listen to, which was the Volare turntable, mounted with, they had an audio note IQ2 on. And we listened to that through my preamp, and I heard the sound that I was looking for on first impression. So I left to mull it over. All of the main auditioning was through Klipsch Forte speakers, which are a lot different than mine. So I had to keep that in mind and balance all these different elements, and kind of narrow it down to what I was hearing and so forth. So I went home and I thought about it and decided to go back for another round. But this time I wanted to bring almost all my equipment, and I decided to bring my turntable, my amplifier, and my preamplifier. So I brought the Basis 1400, just in case we decided on the cartridge we would stick that in the system. I brought my Audio Research preamp and my Odyssey Carthago amp. And this was a more revealing, more real world kind of listening session, because I was able to hear and eliminate as many variables as possible. Really, the only differences were the turntable and the speakers and the wire. So it was a better picture of what these cartridges could do. Also, this time we listened to the preamp full range. So the sound was going completely through my preamp, the volume controlled with the preamp through the Phono amp. And the results were very surprising. One combination that we listened to was we brought the Rega back in with the SL on it. We listened to it through my equipment, and I was like, wow, this sounds better than the other combination with the audio note. This is a fully broken in SL, of course, but I was very, very impressed with it. And I was like, gee, I guess my preamp does have enough gain for this cartridge. And we listened to the audio note again and got good results as well. And I thought, well, that's odd, but because my preamp is set for, we found out later, is set for 4700K, not the ideal for the SL. It's more the ideal for the other cartridge, but I found that the level I could turn it up was a little too short. In other words, getting the audio note to a nice range where, you know, you could move a step up, and I personally like a range of about 9 to 12, maybe 1. And at that level, with the audio note, it was just a little bit too sharp a rise. So with the Hana, it was like the perfect range with not any noise. And the only variable that I couldn't control at that time was the loading. But I liked what I heard enough that I decided to get this and deal with the loading a little bit later as it breaks in. And so take a look at the video. The person helping me is Federico, and he is amazing. He's amazing. And I gotta say, Soundlux is one of the few audio salons I've been to. I hope they don't mind me using that word, salon, because it is like a salon. It's like this beautiful loft with like living area spaces to listen to music as you would probably in your home. And everything is very controlled as far as room treatments and so forth. But the main thing with Soundlux is the warm, friendly vibe you get from, well, in my case, from Federico. There's also Eric, who's the owner. But this is a rarity when you're going, especially if you're not a well-heeled audiophile and you're just going to spend under $1,000. Some places will look at you like, whatever. And this was not that way. They gave me an hour and a half each time to listen to whatever I wanted. They had no problem with me bringing in my equipment and setting up everything, all for a possible $750 sale. I thought that was pretty impressive, and I can highly recommend, if you want to listen to some great equipment, to go to Soundlux. They have great stuff. So let's take a look at the footage, and then I'll get back to you on the other side. So here we're arriving at Soundlux on a sunny Sunday afternoon in Wynwood, Miami. Wynwood's a popular neighborhood, and Soundlux opened here in a beautiful big loft building, and here we're bringing in some of the equipment. Federico is my salesman and technician. Here we're walking into the space, and you can see it's a fantastic space, really appointed beautifully for its purpose. This is the great audio note room, full of all audio note equipment. Here, Federico is hooking up my equipment to the Volare turntable. Yeah, Ficart Volare turntable, and we're going to listen to the audio note cartridge through that, with the Klipsch Forte in the background. That was really an interesting listen. Playing on the turntables, the Analog Productions cut of Janis Ian's Breaking Silence, and it was really impressive, I have to admit. For a moving magnet cartridge, I was really impressed and was very close to deciding on that cartridge, but I wanted to give the Hana another chance. The Ficart Volare turntable was amazing, and it's something I have in my vision as a future upgrade. Here we're listening to the audio note IQ2. Although the sound truly was sensational, I decided to ask if we could bring out the Hana SL and give that another try through my equipment this time, which we didn't get to do on the first visit. So here was the final combination, the Hana SL on the P3, Rega P3, through the Audio Research preamp and the Odyssey Cartago amp and Klipsch Forte speakers. This was the sound I was looking for, and I have to say I was really impressed with my components as well. The Hana SL moving coil cartridge, I've made my decision, and this is my first look at it. I do. I do. Okay, we're married. Let's put it on the turntable. I made sure to ask Federico if he would mind if I stay and watch him install the cartridge. I know I wouldn't have wanted anyone watching me, that's why I'm having him install it, but he was totally cool with it, and I tried not to interfere. Here we're in the final stages of installation, doing a triple check with the cartridge weight, the VTA, and we're done. This is the first time I've heard it with all the variables minimized, my turntable, my preamp, and my amp, and I couldn't be happier with it. Just measuring for my new speakers. How much were those Klipsch Fortes again? So as you can see, I went through various combinations to arrive at my decision. I've had the Hana in the system for 9 hours. And I promised that I wouldn't do a sound evaluation, but I wanted to kind of go through a little bit of what I've been listening to and my impressions as it broke in. Now, you have to bear in mind that right now, the preamp hasn't been altered for the loading. So there's that. But and also, I'm also got some external phono stages under consideration that have enough adjustability to match this cartridge exactly, and so that's on the radar too. But when I first got it home, I played the same tracks that we were testing in the store. The main vocal and rock or rock track was or album was Janice Ian Breaking Silence, the original 180 from Analog Productions. And that's a very revealing record. Janice Ian, her voice has a certain register that if something is a little too peaky, it's going to sound a little edgy. And that didn't sound like that at all at Soundlux with either cartridge. It was an amazing jaw-dropping experience with either cartridge. With the not broken in SL, once it got back here and through my own speakers and wire, it sounded like a cartridge that hadn't broken in yet. It was a little bit edgy. It wasn't quite as lush as I heard it in the store. I got a little nervous, but I said, let's just give this time. You don't have the ideal loading, and it's new cartridge is breaking in. There's also a couple of other variables. Maybe, the cable that they were using was highly recommended for my budget. I'm not using cable that is that level. So there's that too. Also, the Klipsch Forte is astonishing speaker, full range speaker, where I have stand mounts and a subwoofer. So there's a few variables. I'm trying to like sort all this out in my mind and not think of buyer's remorse, because that's the worst feeling you can have when you finally get something home and you're like, So I gave it time. The first 5 hours, let's see, I played it safe. I listened to very well recorded records. And one of the sonic highlights that I first had was Ray Brown Solar Energy on Pure Audiophile Records. That's the label. It's a double LP 33. And I've always considered it one of the best sounding records in my collection. And it sounded superb on the system. This was at about the 3 hour mark, probably. And that gave me a lot of hope, because that first play with the Genesee, and I was like, I don't know. So I played Solar Energy. I played Caverna Magica. I don't know if you are familiar with that. Andreas Vollenweider. Excellent record. A little new agey, as my friend said. It's a little new agey, but what a record to show off your system. Especially, it's nice for a late night listen, but it's beautiful record, and it came across perfectly on this system. I have since listened to some rock records, older rock records from the 70s. They're not coming across quite like I had hoped yet. I think the cartridge is very revealing of whatever it's seeing, and a well-recorded record is going to sound mind-blowing, and average recordings from the 70s or 60s are going to sound like they are, older recordings. And I'm hoping that improves. It gets a little more lush. When the loading is correct, it should. I've played with VTA a little bit and dropped the VTA a bit in the back to bring the tonal balance down a little bit, so that early little bit of an edge is gone. So maybe it was the VTA as well as the loading. But all in all, I am enjoying the cartridge. I just played, what did I play? Oh, I played Joni Mitchell, Clouds, which is, Joni Mitchell's voice is difficult to reproduce, especially albums like Blue, but Clouds as well. She has that high register that can sometimes come across as a little aggressive, and I didn't get that at all. And I'm at the 9 hour mark now, I think, 9 hours. And this is very promising, because I didn't really think that this was going to break in so quick. I was expecting 30 hours, and I'm still expecting 30 hours of improvements. At least. Some people have said 50 to 100 hours. So I am very, very excited for the future with this cartridge. I have a very good friend that's coming down to help me to alter the preamp. He knows how to solder and do resistors and stuff. So I don't know how to do that. And I don't want to have someone do it here for I don't know how much money. So he generously offered to come down and do this. So we are going to set the preamp to be exactly what this cartridge wants, and I just can't wait. I think it's going to be fantastic. In the meantime, I am looking at preamps, Phono preamps, and considering that for a future upgrade. But for now, I am very pleased with the sound through the SP9. I think it's sounding really good and really promising, and I'm so glad I steered myself in this direction. I think it's a fabulous cartridge. If you read the reviews around the internet, you'll see that everyone that has heard it loves it. And I think I'm going to be joining that camp. So thank you for watching. I'm so glad you got to catch this 101st episode If you want more information on Soundlux, I'm going to leave a link in the description box below. They are fantastic and a real oasis here in Miami, which was very dry for audiophiles, but not anymore. A fabulous store. And you should definitely check it out if you're in the area. Until next time, I'm Scott for the Pressing Matters. Have a great day.